Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Monday, April the 28th, 2014. Today's going to be a special show because I want to talk about what took place late Friday evening, early Saturday. I was reading an article about the Los Angeles Lakers' decision to keep Mike D'Antoni, who's the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I was really upset because I thought that was and I still think it was a very poor decision. And I was reading what the bloggers had to say about it, this, that, and the other. And one blogger pointed out that as bad as things are in Lakerland, at least we're not the Clippers, and here's why. And he put a link of the Bleacher Report of some statements that Donald Sterling had made. So when I clicked on the statements, I read the article about some alleged racist statements that were made, or alleged statements that he made to his girlfriend, who happens to be black and Hispanic. And then I said, let me listen to the audio. I listened to the audio, and it was very disturbing, to say the least. I mean, the first audio that I heard, because there was really two parts to the audio that I know of. The first part I heard it was bad. And that alone calls for his ouster. But it was the second part of the audio that I heard a day later that was really the most disturbing. And that is when he said, and I quote, "Don't I feed them? Don't I clothe them?" I mean, you can't get more insulting than to say something like that. If you haven't heard his statements, my suggestion is this thing called Google. Google it, folks. Okay? His statements were so reprehensible that even and I love to try to figure out, okay, if I was in this person's shoes, how would I try to spin this to take away the negative publicity? Even I can't come up with an argument, at least not for the second part of the video. The first part of the video, I could have said, well, look, I just was trying to say I didn't want her bringing, her African-American friends or black friends to the game because I don't like her friends. But I have no issue with black people. But I can't spin this based off the second part of the video. Because the second part of the video, again, was, in my opinion, was far worse. The second part of the video basically finished him off. It's like a boxer when he's in the ring and he's giving a combination. And the first hit staggers him, the other boxer, the opponent. He was staggering. The second hit, boom, finished him. Same thing here. It's the second statement that basically, or the second audio that basically finishes off Donald Sterling. Now, the NBA is in a very awkward position here because technically, from my understanding, technically they don't have the authority because they don't have the antitrust agreement, and they got to change that, by the way. They don't have the antitrust agreement to be able to just simply remove him from the quote-unquote betterment of the game like baseball and football does. But there are other ways you can still achieve the same goal. You might not be able to do it through the normal channel, which means just have him removed. But if you put pressure on him, he will be removed. And the best way to do that is to start hurting an owner where it hurts him the most. Statements doesn't hurt an owner the most. Okay? What hurts an owner, you can do all these protests and stuff. That doesn't hurt an owner. What hurts an owner is when you start affecting his money. When you start hitting him where it hurts most, in the pockets. Right? He bought the team for about $12 to $12.5 million. Right now, Forbes is estimating it to be worth $575 million. Let's round it up to say $600 million. Okay? let's just for the sake of keeping the number simple, let's just say about 600 million. Because that's what it's going to cost somebody right now to buy the Los Angeles Clippers. At least 600 million. However, you got these advertisers who are now starting to pull out. Advertisers like State Farm, CarMax, Virgin America, Kia, Red Bull. Okay? Once all these advertisers start pulling out and more to come, these are major advertisers here, folks. These are people who's giving a lot of money to the Clippers. Okay? The Clippers is making a lot of money off these advertisers. Now, why is this important here? Because this all really came about. This audio was released, whether it was the girlfriend that released it or her lawyers, really doesn't matter. The whole fact of the matter is this, yes, this was a private conversation. But once it goes over the internet, it's no longer private. That's the funny thing about the internet, folks. The internet is both good and it has its bad. This is the bad side of the internet. Once things go on the internet, it's no longer private. Okay? So you can't say, well, as some callers on some talk shows try to say, well, that was a private conversation between him and his girlfriend. It's no longer private once it's leaked to the internet. Well, I mean, once it's leaked to like the TMZs of the world, and, it's no longer private. When now the general public knows about it, it's no longer private. And you can't say, well, what about his First Amendment rights and freedom of speech? Folks fail to understand something about the First Amendment rights. Yes, freedom of speech, which means you're not supposed to be jailed for speaking out. But there is nothing in the Constitution that says that you're free from reprisals. You're free from consequences. Okay? Everything you say and do has consequences. You got to pay for what you said and did. And stop with this, well, the recording was illegal. First of all, it doesn't matter how the recording was done. Whether it was legal or illegal, does not matter. This is not a court of law. This is now, you're in the court of public opinion. You're in the court of the public. That's far worse. Because here, it's not a thing about proof. Or was the evidence obtained legally? This is not a legal proceedings here, folks. So let's stop with these stupid arguments. These are dumb. So how did this all really come about? Because during the fallout between Donald Sterling and his girlfriend, Donald Sterling's wife decided that she wanted back the gifts that Donald Sterling gave to the woman. At least $1.8 million worth of the gifts. Anyway, she wanted it back. So in trying to save $1.8 million or recoup $1.8 million, look what it's costing you. This reminds me of this oil commercial called Fram oil. Fram. They sell different products, particularly oil filters. This is my dad's favorite commercial. And in the commercial, you got this mechanic who's working on a car, and he's saying he's got a Fram little oil filter sitting right next to the car. And he's saying that he has to now fix this person's engine, and it's going to cost $200 because the person didn't want to pay the $4 that it was going to cost for the oil filter. So now he has to pay $200. So then he says, look, you can either pay me now or you can pay me later. So he could have paid the $4 now. He could have saved $196. He could have saved had he paid the $4 now. In this case, had you left this woman alone and not tried to sue her for the 1.8 million, look how much you could have saved. But your own greed, your own arrogance led you down the path you are right now. You're about to lose your team because you tried to save $1.8 million. Now look what it's costing you. Because you see, every day now that you're losing advertisers, you're also losing value in your team. Now you're forced to relinquish control of your team. For 1.8 million, did you not think that your statements were not going to come back to haunt you? Oh, but then again, you didn't know you was being recorded. And I heard that Donald Trump, yes, the same Donald Trump, the Donald, wants to blame the girlfriend and call her the evil person and this, that, and the other. And, oh, he was set up and this. And, you have some callers who called saying that they were set up. Okay? And I remember another quote from a movie. This time from a movie. The movie was Ocean 13. And this is when Willie basically took the business from under Ruben's nose. Okay, because Willie and Ruben were supposed to be partners. And basically, Willie literally did a hostile takeover of the business. And when Danny went to Willie, and asked him to make Ruben whole, here is what Willie said. If he, referring to Ruben, was too blind or too stupid to see what was coming, he did the right thing. Roll over and die. Okay? Why is this quote important? Because I don't want to hear Donald Sterling was set up. If Donald Sterling was too blind, too stupid, or too drunk, as somebody might say, well, he was drunk. If he was too blind, too stupid, or too drunk to see that he was being set up, that this person was trying to get all of this out of him, and he should realize, oh my, I might be recorded on what I'm saying here. Let me be careful about what I'm saying. But if he was too blind, too stupid, too drunk, or too angry to see that he was being set up, then he deserves to get outed. He deserves everything he gets because he's a stupid individual. For a man that's supposed to be so intelligent, he did something really stupid. And now he's paying a dear price for it. Oh, now all of a sudden the wife, oh no, yes, that's his comments, they're deplorable, they're this, that, and the other. Me and my children, we have nothing to do with this. That's my estranged husband. Oh, now all of a sudden he's estranged. Okay? But yet you're the same woman who's suing the woman. You didn't sue the husband. You sued the woman to get back the gifts that the husband gave to her. Instead of suing the man. You sued the other woman. This is why you was outed. This is why you're about to lose control of your company, of your sports franchise, because you were just too evil and spiteful to just simply write it off as a business loss and moved on. Again, trying to save money, 1.8 million, or trying to recoup 1.8 million is costing you far more, because I'm certain that the advertisers who just dropped out was already from what they already were supposed to be paying you via your contract, you've already lost the 1.8 million right there alone. Okay? Now you got Donald Sterling trying to call up Doc Rivers. There's nothing. Doc Rivers don't want to talk to you. Doc Rivers don't want to talk to you. Matter of fact, Doc Rivers, my thinking is this, and I don't have no evidence, I haven't read anything, I don't know, I haven't spoken to anybody about this, so I don't have no evidence, this is just me coming out with what I'm thinking. My thinking is this, he'll coach out this season and see where they're at. If Donald Sterling is still in control, I can see Doc Rivers basically resigning. Because Doc Rivers doesn't need the money. From the way it seems. He doesn't need the money. I could see him resigning. If he leaves, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and all them boys are out the door. Which means you're going to lose your superstars. You lose your superstars, good luck. You're basically a dead team walking. Because you already had LeBron and Kobe, and even though Kobe's old, but Kobe is still a big figure. You've already had some major players, some heavy hitters, saying, I don't want to play for this man. I wouldn't want to play for this man. So I could see if even if Doc were to stay, because even Doc knows, even if he were to stay, you could tell by Chris Paul's demeanor after the game, the stare, the blank stare he had, he wants out. You could just tell it. He's looking for the first escape out of Los Angeles if Sterling is still in control of the team. And I can even see Kobe Bryant working him come to the Lakers if Donald Sterling is in control of the team. Donald Sterling has to give up the team. Because if not, he's going to lose his head coach and he's going to lose his star players. And you're not going to be able to get another star player there. Because first of all, the superstars is going to get the max regardless where they go. So therefore, it's not like you can grossly overpay for them. So now, yeah, you can grossly overpay for the marginal talent, but that makes no sense. That makes no sense to grossly overpay for marginal talent. Because that's the only way you're going to get a player to come play for you. You're going to have to grossly overpay for them. And that's the marginal guys, because like I said, the superstars you're just not going to get. You can pretty much forget about that. So if you can't get the superstars, you cannot win in this league without a superstar, folks. You're not going to win with a team full of marginal talent. You're just not. Okay? This is not some Rudy story or whatever. It's just not going to happen. And guess what happens to the value of your franchise? It just goes down. So, and then not only that, who are you going to get to coach the team? Because see, even coaches are part of fraternities. And you can best believe the coaching fraternity is going to send the word that no coach is to go coach for the Clippers. So where are you going to get your head coach from? No one's going to cross that proverbial picket line. Because if all the coaches is boycotting or striking against you, no one's going to cross that line. Because you want to know why? If they want to remain in coaching, it would behoove them not to cross that line and go and coach with you and coach for you. You saw that the report is that back in the 80s when they was trying to get Rolly Massimino, okay? Rolly Massimino coming off, I guess he was coming off that championship their season with Villanova when they upended Georgetown, which is still one of the greatest upsets in college sports history, for the national championship, while they was trying to get Rolly Massimino to come coach the Clippers. And the story goes that the GM and everybody loved him until he went to go interview with Donald Sterling. Well, Donald Sterling had some quote-unquote bimbo who's a friend, or who's quote-unquote a friend, in the interview as well. And Donald Sterling asked Rolly Massimino, how could you coach these using the N-word? Now, think about this. If Rolly had took that job after he asked that question, Rolly would have lost all credibility and respect. And the one thing a coach must have if he's going to win, have any shot, he must have his credibility and respect. The players must respect you. And the players would not have respected Rolly had he did that. Doc Rivers, if he can't keep the star talent, and you can best believe he won't be able to keep Chris Paul there if Donald Sterling is still there. So it makes no sense for Doc Rivers to hang around. So when you hear Doc Rivers answer the question when asked, will you be the head coach of the Clippers next year? He says he doesn't know. He really do know. He's just not going to tell you. But he already knows what he's going to do or not do. You can best believe it. He already knows. And I cannot see any coach coaching the Clippers if he can't get the talent there, no coach is going to want to coach the Clippers. That's the first problem. The second thing is, if the coaching fraternity says, and they're going to say, you're not to go to the, if Donald Sterling is running the team, you're not to go to the Clippers. No one's to go to the Clippers. You're not going to get a coach. So Donald Sterling, you better be able to put on your coaching hatting. Hey, you better do a bang-up hell of a job because you're not going to be able to get no coach there. So basically, there's going to be so much pressure on him. He's going to be forced to really sell the team. Now, I was thinking about it. Was there a way he can do it? You know, if I was advising him, you know, because I always like to play that advisor role. That's just how I am. How to do it where you can keep the team within the family. The only way I thought of doing the way you could do it, and I don't think it would work, but hey, guys, you know, hey, you know, you can say give it a try, and that's this. You come out with your press conference and you basically come out and say, before the NBA suspends you, of course, because tomorrow at around 2 p.m., the NBA is supposed to be making a major announcement. The word, well, I won't say the word, but the feeling is he's going to be suspended indefinite. It's going to be some sort of an indefinite suspension. Okay? So if I was advising Donald, or if I was Donald Sterling myself, let's say I'm Donald Sterling, then I would say, well, since I already know I'm going to be suspended indefinitely, in other words, they're never going to want me in the building ever again, to be really honest with you, then why don't I do this? Why don't I just come on out, do a press conference? I'm going to beat the NBA to this story, or not to this story, but to this statement. And I'm going to just simply come out and say, look, you know, with my age and all that stuff, and in the best interest of the Clippers, of the city, the franchise, and everyone, of the league, for the best interest of the league, I'm giving up my interest in the Los Angeles Clippers. In other words, I'm giving up my share of ownership in the Los Angeles Clippers. And what you're hoping for is that dies down the criticism. That dies down the news, the talk. And you're hoping that at the end of the day, people say that's good enough, we'll accept that. And maybe, you know, your wife could run the team, or your son-in-law run the team, and even though you're no longer technically running it, it stays in the family. But what I'm saying is, for the players, whoever, that cannot be good enough. But if I was Donald Sterling, that's what I would at least try to do. This is called cutting your losses. Because here's why. You're going to lose the team. Now, you can lose it voluntarily, which means just coming out and make the announcement, or there will be a hostile takeover against you. Because if I was the players, and I'm not talking about just the Clipper players, I'm talking about all the players, I'm letting the league know, I'm putting them on notice. If he's the owner, come November 1st or whenever the season starts, okay, we're not playing. We're going to boycott. We're going to send a message. We don't want this man as owner. Because when you hear LeBron make this statement, okay, there's no place in this league for Donald Sterling. That's a very powerful statement. Here's why. If he says there's no place in this league for this type of talk, then you can suspend Donald Sterling, and that might be good enough. But when you hear the main star, and make no mistake about it, LeBron's the big star here. He's the big fish. And all the players are going to follow LeBron's lead. You can best believe that. When LeBron comes out and says, there's no place in this league for Donald Sterling, that means they want him out. There's no place in this league for Sterling. Not for that kind of talk. For Sterling. That's a very powerful statement. That's not something you can just easily ignore. Okay? That's very profound, because that's like, okay. And then you hear Kobe Bryant saying, I can't play for this man. Well, what do you think? Now, Carmelo Anthony's supposed to be a free agent, or he's going to opt out of his deal. Now, one of the teams that was supposed to be rumored of him potentially going to is to hook up with his buddy Chris Paul and play there with the Clippers, and the Clippers were supposed to be sending back Blake Griffin as maybe part of the deal, this, that, and the other. Well, you can pretty much cross the Clippers off that list if Donald Sterling is still ownership of owning the team, because I don't think Carmelo Anthony is going to want to take that burden of going to the Clippers when Chris Paul wants out. And here's the biggest reason why Chris Paul is going to want out, because he's going to know that no player wants to go and play there. And you can best believe that Blake Griffin and these boys is already orchestrating or figuring out how to orchestrate their way out of this situation. Now, I know Van Gundy has come out and said that because of these audio statements that came out, that the commissioner should automatically be able to grant each one of them the free agents to be immediate free agents if they choose to become an immediate free agent. If they want to become an immediate free agent, grant that to them. Now, if the league were to do that, the Clippers would be finished today, because here's why. Then that means that they don't have to honor those contracts. And there's nothing that Donald Sterling can do about it. And if you can't get no talent to come play for you, you can't sell tickets, because the fans is not going to come to see no product. The fans is not going to come to see a bunch of mediocre players, if that. Because you're gonna have to, it's just not going to happen. So my guess is somewhere within the next couple of months, you will probably be hearing about the sale of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, there is a rumor that is out right now, especially on Yahoo Sports, that Magic Johnson is looking to purchase the team because he wanted to buy the Lakers, but the Bush family wasn't selling. So now he's looking at the Clippers because they want to do his own a conglomerate there in LA. You have the Dodgers. If he can own the Clippers, he can get a football team there. Then now you got the best of all worlds here. A football, baseball, basketball team, you got the best of all worlds here. So the word is that he wants to be able to buy. He wants to buy the Clippers. This would be a good thing for the Clippers if he can do it, if he can pull it off. Now, he's, from what the report is, that they're going to offer $1 billion. Now, that's significantly above what the value of the franchise is now. But obviously, you got to pay a little bit above what the value of the franchise is anyway. Okay? Because you figure you're going to have competing bids, people competing, to bid on the team. So they're probably coming out saying, well, we're going to start at $1 billion. If I'm Donald Sterling, I'm taking that $1 billion and running. Because to turn $12 million into $1 billion, woo, that's a pretty hefty return. And just cut your losses. Because one way or the other, you're going to lose the team. You're going to lose control of the team. It's just that simple. Okay? You put yourself in an unwinnable situation. And for the life of me, here's what I can't really understand. Why on earth, if you have these views towards African Americans and Hispanics, because obviously you do, despite your fact of, that's not consistent with those statements are not consistent with my beliefs. Yeah, right. Well, if you have these views, why were you dating a black and Mexican woman? That made no sense. And how is she supposed to feel when you're sitting there downing her races in front of her? How is she supposed to feel? That's showing you're showing her a lack of respect for her. You're showing a lack of respect for her, and you're doing it right in front of her face. You didn't say this to a white girlfriend you was dating. You were saying this to a black and Latino girlfriend you dated. That makes no sense. You deserve everything you get. You deserve it. Now, when I come back, I got a little bone to pick with the LA chapter, the Los Angeles chapter of the NAACP. Welcome back to the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Monday, I'm just losing it. Monday, April the 28th, 2014. Okay, I just got through my soliloquy about Donald Sterling. Now I want to focus on the Los Angeles chapter of the NAACP and why I'm very angry with them. I got a little bone to pick with you. Because you gave this man back in 2009 a Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, now let me back up for a second. We all know that organizations like the NAACP, which is a very good organization, by the way, and a necessary one. They're supposed to really look after the little man, of black. I mean, they're supposed to represent black or African American. That's the better term. African American individuals. Okay, that's the main group for representing African American individuals. Is the NAACP. Well, you got different local chapters, but anyway, the NAACP is not federally funded. Okay, they survive solely on donations. So apparently, this man has been donating. Him and his family have been donating a lot of money through the years. So they decided in 2009 that they was going to give him a Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, good, right? Except there was a problem. Around that time, there was also an investigation or a pending lawsuit against him for housing discrimination against black and Latinos. Now, why is this important? Because the NAACP is supposed to be representing the interest of African Americans, you don't want to be giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to someone who is infringing on the rights of African Americans. It's called common sense. So now they're trying to say, well, when we gave that award at the time, the case was not settled. We weren't certain. I'm like, oh boy, you just couldn't wait to find out what the verdict was going to be before you decided to give that award? But all right, let's just assume you went on ahead and gave it to him. Okay, I mean, because you did give it to him. Let's just assume that your motives were legit. Here's the problem that I have now. This upcoming month, May, he was supposed to be getting another Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, first of all, one question is that I have, how many Lifetime Achievement Awards can you give one individual? I mean, how many lifetimes? If you already gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award, why is he getting another Lifetime Achievement Award? That, to me, makes no sense. But let's put that to the side, because that's not the important issue here. The important issue is you was going to give him another Lifetime Achievement Award knowing the results of what took place in '09. You got the verdict. Or, excuse me, he settled. Which means, without admitting wrongdoing, he's admitting wrongdoing. Because he's saying they got a case against him, so let me settle. Where he had to pay $2.75 million or however much it was, which at the time, which is the largest, discrimination case, housing discrimination case out there. But that being said, the suit was against him and his wife. So why on earth in 2014, May of 2014, was you going to give him a Lifetime Achievement Award knowing this? You can't say you didn't know about the 2009 judgment. There's this thing called homework, folks. But we know why you was going to give it to him, because why? Money. See, money, the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. And that is so true. You love money so much that you was going to sell out by giving this man an award he does not deserve. So what you're really saying is these awards aren't really given because they're earned. They're given because of what they're doing for you, which means giving you donations. Never mind the fact they're paying you on one end but screwing you on the other. So you're nothing but, in his eyes, prostitutes. Because that's the way you do it. You prostituted yourself. For the life of me, I cannot understand that. Why on earth would you do that? For money? Because that's all he deserved. I mean, come on. He was no pillar of good in the community. He was, for many years, known as a cheap bastard. And I don't like that term, but that's, he was cheap. For many, many years, he was known as being cheap. Only now did he start opening up the purse a little bit more. Okay, boom. Okay? Whether he was forced to or not, I don't know. But only now is he starting to pay. But that's not the point. The point is, I don't care how much money he's giving you. If he is infringing on the rights of minorities, you got to be concerned because we're minorities. You have to be concerned about this. You don't give him or anyone a Lifetime Achievement Award who hasn't earned it. I don't care about the funds they're giving you. All right, thank you. I'll take the donation. But then if I find out you're doing this to my people, then I'm going to give you back your donations because the money isn't worth it. There's an old saying that if you don't take a stand for something, you'll fall for anything. There comes a point where you got to take a stand and say, no, this I will not tolerate. I don't care how much money you have. Your money isn't worth it. Because at the end of the day, I have to look myself in the mirror. I have to be happy with myself at the end of the day. And if I sell out because of $1, you lose further respect. Because you're like, just give them a few dollars. They'll look the other way. Wow. Well, you see how he already thinks about his players. So he ain't talking about just his players, folks. He's talking about African Americans in general. Don't we feed them, clothe them, give them cars, give them houses? This reminds me of that Chris Rock Never Scared concert he gave, not concert, but show he gave, where he was talking about rich versus wealth. Here you go, Shaq. A new car, bouncing rims, or, bouncing car. Bling, bling. I mean, this is what this reminds me of. Come on. What we have just become today is well-paid slaves. That's basically what he's saying. You're well-paid slaves. This is this man's mindset. And here's the scary part. How many other owners, not only in the NBA, but in the NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, who have the same mindset, but they were smart enough to keep their mouths shut? And don't tell me about why he was drunk, because one caller tried to call him and say, well, I'm in law enforcement, and it sounded like he was drunk. If you listen carefully, here's the one thing about being drunk, folks, and this is one thing I've learned. I've never been, some people are disputed, but I've never been drunk. But anyway, here's the thing about being drunk. They tell the truth. A drunk person tells the truth. The truth comes out of their mouth. The problem is we don't want to hear it. But the truth comes out of their mouths. How they really feel about something comes out of their mouths. So, hey, if he was drunk, this is why you don't get drunk around your girl, because you never know what's going to come out of your mouth. You got to be careful. This is why you got to be careful when you get drunk, especially when you're around your girlfriend. And remember the old saying, hell has no fury like a woman scorned. You scorn this woman, she's going to scorn you back. And it's going to be far worse than what you've done to her. Trust me. You cannot win. Ask Paula Deen, okay? Because she was also cheap. Instead of paying the lady $1 million, which she was asking for, okay, to save that $1 million, take me to court. Okay, well, you won the battle, but you lost the war. Okay, you won the lawsuit, Paula, but you lost the war. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, she realized now the severity of action. Too late. The damage has been done. Ask Mitt Romney about private conversations that were supposed to be private. That 47% comment he made, that wasn't for the public consumption. That wasn't for the public. That was during a private conversation amongst him and his friends, his fellow big donors, the fat cats. Now, unfortunately for him, it got out to the public. And once it did, it just finished him off. I mean, he was already in trouble anyway, but it just finished him off. Because he could never recover from that 47% comment. But it was private. Folks, today, nothing is private. Today, nothing really is. Once it hits the internet, that's it. If this happened 20, 30 years ago, Donald Sterling could pay the news media to kill the story. You could have paid them off. You can't do that today. Today, with this is the super information day we live in, folks. The super highway, the information age, okay? You can't pay people. It's not so simple today. Okay? You got the TMZs of the world, the National Enquirers of the world. These people survive off of gossip. That's how they make their money. Now, Donald Sterling, I don't think he knew about those recordings existed. I am certain he didn't know about those recordings that they didn't exist. I am certain he didn't think those recordings existed. But that's not the point. The point is, you ran off at the mouth when you should have kept your mouth shut. And now you're paying a very, very heavy price for it. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. I am going to do another broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, after the NBA gives their statement. And so I'll see you guys tomorrow.